Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. We are so excited for this one, and we're actually going to be in a little bit of a different flow today. And we're really tuning into one of the hot topics that's just buzzing around the internet and social media right now, which is open contact with higher dimensional beings and UFOs. And we are going to shift up the flow today by bringing in DiYeena a little earlier. Usually, Ava and I go into a bit of a channel discussion, but we really just want to bring in the expert for this because what we've been tuning into is there's a lot of buzz around this right now, right? There have been a lot of sightings just in the last week itself. There was just a massive sighting in New Jersey. And there, within a 24-hour period, popped up hundreds of sightings all over the world in a very similar way, almost like what they're calling are this drone activity that even the news is talking about, and they're connecting it into UFO crafts and higher dimensional beings. And so we really want to tune into what's going on because there's a lot of back and forth of, is this actually the start of open contact, or is this something that the government is maybe pulling out? Is this a hidden agenda that's coming forward? A lot of people are talking about a possibility of Project Bluebeam, which is an agenda that brings open contact to the collective, but it's not real open contact, right? It's almost like this holographic experience that is brought to us for whatever agenda may be there. And so the intention of this discussion is always to pour love into this space and to really eradicate any of the fear of what's happening, because right, connection with an open contact with UFOs can actually stir up a lot of maybe fear in the collective. That's a lot of unknown that's coming forward, and we've had a lot of movies in the mainstream as well that play out to that not being the most loving opening contact. But we know, as we are connecting here in this space with the Pleiadians and with the living Ma, that it's actually couldn't be quite the opposite. And they're so incredibly loving. They're here for our support. And of course, there's always a shadow and light to all aspects of dimensional beings. And we really want to tune into what is actually going on here. What is the truth of this experience that we're having collectively with, we'll say, open contact, right? And so yeah, that's how we're wanting to open this today. I'm gonna send it over to you, Ava, as if you just want to explain who DiYeena is, who are the living Ma, and what can we expect for today.
Thank you so much, Shiloh. So for those of you who are new to this platform, welcome. And for those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being here again. So I am a trance channeler who channels a frequency known as the living Ma, which is a spiral of knowledge is how it's been described to me. And there are certain beings that resonate with this particular frequency that I have an agreement who can come through and speak to humanity to bring forth the information that is residing within that spiral. So my main guide, her name is DiYeena, and she is a Pleiadian being. And so that, if you want to name that extraterrestrial, ultra terrestrial, because she's not in this particular dimension, but it is a being that would fit into this category, who probably does have a few answers here on this topic and can give us a little bit of perspective. So there are other beings that channel through who have walked the earth, Magdalene, Mother Mary, St. Paul, beings like that as well. But really, we're here to connect with DiYeena specifically in this particular episode and really tune into the wisdom that she has to share. So if you're not familiar with trance channeling, it is a little bit different than conscious channeling, which, conscious channeling is I can be here communicating with you and hear a message from my guides and communicate what that message is, just as if we're talking here. Trance channeling is a little bit different, where I take a step back in my body, out of my body, and allow this being to come through her, whose name is DiYeena, and she is allowed to do that and animate my body because we have that agreement. And so it's not that I'm letting just any frequency come through. It's very specific frequencies that I've agreed to do this with. So I don't even work with, loving, beings. People have asked me, can you channel my my loved one on the other side, and it's not my agreement to do that. So it's only specific frequencies that are allowed to come through, though I have made an agreement with to do so. So we're going to go ahead and explore this concept, because it's a really important topic that is important to just have clarity, so that you can be in the right frequency and awareness and circuitry with this information. So I'm going to go ahead and just go right out and put you in touch with the Pleiadians, and we'll see what they have to say regarding UFOs, open contact, and this whole discussion about what's happening here on our planet right now in history. So without that, I'll go ahead and go out. Here we go. Greetings. This is DiYeena, you see, of the Pleiadian family. You see, we like to say we are here bringing the love. You see, bringing the love. You see, and this is really a key piece, key words, you see, because this in the frequency of the love, you see. And this is really for the extraterrestrials, ultra-terrestrials that are here supporting humanity as it moves through its ascension process, if you like to call it that, the movement from 3D to 5D to whatever D you like to land on, you see. It's all free will, by the way, you see. We are here to really support that process, because we have walked in your shoes, so to speak. We've all been on the planets that have gone through this process of upgrading and expanding into the new frequencies, you see, which are already in existence, you see. So you're in the third dimension, you see, you're expanding awareness into more dimensionality that has always been there. On these other dimensions reside certain frequencies of awareness that tap you into a whole nother timeline of existence that is already happening, you see. So there are movies playing out on third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, all the way up, you see, so to speak. So you are just tapping into a different perspective of life, you see. And on those dimensions, you might have other versions of yourself playing out different life, you see, or different aspects of the life, or different ways for it to play out, you see. So this is really a little bit how it works. So you're wondering about this concept of open contact, you see, or UFOs, or all these different things. So in this conversation, it is important to be rooted in the understanding of how this all works on a multidimensional level, you see, because there is no open contact, so to speak. We've already been in contact. We're already here. We are always available for communication, for help, for guidance, for inspiration, for all these things. And we are working with the beings that are rooted on your earth, who are aware of their multidimensionality in that way. So they are able to work with these higher frequencies, you see. So certain beings are tapped in enough to be able to go to the 6th dimension, the 9th dimension, the 13th dimension, the 16th dimension, the 19th dimension, the 22nd dimension, the 30th, whatever dimension. You have beings on all these different dimensions, you see, that give different angularity of perspective on the fractalation of consciousness, you see. So within that, we have all these different ways of looking through lenses about what is happening on Earth, on other planets, on all the different ways of what is this thing called conscious creation, you see. Fractal consciousness, that fractal experience of consciousness of the one, you see. So we're in this fractal reality, you see, and so you have all these little helpers that are here that are really just different versions of yourself saying, okay, well, this is what it looks like today. You see, so you have to recognize that we are all experiencing the oneness through our own lens of fractal. You see, and we get to have that unique free will to see it how we view it, how we choose, you see. It is beautiful to have that awareness that we all get to see it differently, you see. We like to argue about it here on the third dimension, say, you're right, you're wrong, you see. You're right, you're wrong, you see. And it is really the free will to do, you see, but to recognize that the bigger perspective is that we are all right, you see, in the grand scheme of things, because we are all seeing through a different lens. And from that lens, it is truth. It is your truth because you are experiencing it. You are living it. You are breathing it. You are having that perspective. So it is not a wrong perspective. There's no such thing as a wrong perspective. You see, it is all angularity on the life we're living, you see. So when it comes to the open contact, you see, what you can say is that there has always been that, you see. There has always been that. So you have your beings on the planet that have always been in communication with what you would consider extraterrestrials. You see, this is nothing new. There is nothing new under the sun, you see. So you can look back in your times of history. You would be fascinated to know that some of the movie stars in your planet, back to all the years, ancient times, the ones that get in your history book, so to speak, Many of them have been influenced, you see, by the positive extraterrestrials, the ones that are here to uplift, serve, and support, you see. And there are many, many beings that would you could say were a Pleiadian or Andromedan or whatever, Lyrian or whatever it may be, you see. It doesn't matter so much because even the ones that you can say are from that have most likely been to the other ones as well, you see, because we are fractals in consciousness that have had multidimensionalities of experience. So many of us are hanging out all over the place, you see. We are not just in one place, you see. So because that gives us more perspective and it's fun, you see. So there are many reasons for it. You see, so this is part of it. The first part is it's already happening. There's no such thing as open contact in that particular way. Now, here's where it gets interesting, you see. When you are just looking at it through your 3D meat suits, you see, on the third dimension, you see, you're not using any of your psychic abilities to tap into any of the other dimensionalities. You're only looking at it through the third lens. Well, then you have to have things like UFOs, you see, or a physicality, something in the physical, you see. So then you have to have these beings getting a little bit more creative, you see. DiYeena here got very creative, say, oh, it'll just come through. The Ava, she's available for that, and we can make that kind of agreement. So this is one way that the extraterrestrials can speak through to the humanity of those that are ready to hear, you see. So we have certain beings that will work in that particular way, you see. So we have to find a way to get into the third dimension. Because that is the way that most of the humans are available, is through the third dimension, you see, not so much in the other dimensions. So we have to find, okay, how can we be in the physical then? How can we get the message through the physical, you see? Thing is, you see, it's not so common. Things that are not so common that we don't see every day, you see, then we can create fear around that frequency, you see, or around what that phenomena, you see. So it is a little bit a tricky situation that the beings of the love and the light are not so much going to come in these particular ways because it creates fear for most people because of the stories that you have created in your history, you see. So for the majority of the beings that are of the love and the light, we are hanging out on the sidelines, being more helpful by being in the frequency and the vibration of support through the hearts, you see, through loving in the hearts, you see, for those that are available for that, you see. So these are the ways that we stay, we come in and we be guides for you all. You see, we be loving guides of support, you see. And this is an easy way for us to be in relationship with those that are ready for it. We also come in through the animals, you see. So many of you know that the Pleiadians specifically come through in the dolphins and the whales and the tuna fish, you see, and we help upgrade the frequency of the ocean, you see, through the water, by having the animals in the field, you see. So we are uplifting the frequency. That's why you see the dolphins are so playful. The Pleiadians are very playful, very fun, because it's a high frequency, you see. So bringing that high frequency into the oceans, which covers most of your planet, more than not, you see, also contains the multidimensionality. So we're able to move through dimensions very easily because it is the water, you see. So we find our ways to come into your world in a way that is supportive, that does not activate the frequency of fear, you see. This is really the way that most of the ones that are benevolent come through, is ways that are not going to create the fear, you see. So you have all these other agendas out there that create these physical UFOs, or create these physical, okay, we're going to do it in these other ways that are more in the third dimension, you see. But you have to ask yourself, what is their purpose or intent in showing in that particular way? Is it helpful? Is it helpful, you see? What is really the understory here? Because if the most helpful we have found is not necessarily to need to be seen with the third dimensional eyes, you see. It's really the way that we have found is the most helpful. It's not necessarily to have this grand show, because what for, you see? This is making sense to you, my dear?
Yes, it's making a lot of sense, and there's so much there to unpack. Um, so much potent, beautiful information, and so thank you for sharing. And, I think what so many people are wondering right now, and where I wanna actually bring this and bridge this to is because as you're saying, right, there are those beings that are here as benevolent beings and maybe those that are malevolent. And so we have these two different aspects of the light and the shadow that are working in these different dimensional fields that are here to either influence or have their own agendas or assist with the love and the light and allowing us to expand into into the true blueprint of the human, right? Which is really the assistance in this evolutionary process is really here assisting us to the deepest remembrance of who we are so that we can awaken to our truth through plugging in dormant parts of DNA, right? So I think that's you know, an important aspect to share with everyone is there is an evolution that's taking place, and that's why there are kind of these different aspects of the shadow and the light coming through. And so what I'm hearing, right, because I can even think back to the first time that I ever connected with the Pleiadians and connected to you, DiYeena, and these higher realms was through almost a double lens aspect of that of I actually saw a Pleiadian ship with my own physical eyes, but then my almost like I was taken out of the body in the sense of went into deep meditation in this experience and then was brought energetically through my consciousness into a ship and had my own experience of remembering who I am. And the interesting thing about that is there was only one other person in the group that actually saw the physicality of the ship. And so it was just interesting to me of like, okay, well, only those that were meant to see it were able to see it, because maybe it would have created fear in others, and that only those that are maybe tuned to the frequency of it is actually able to see it with the physical eyes. And so it feels like what's happening right now, right, with all of these massive sightings, because you know it has been right. We're having different beings from different dimensions come here, really supporting us, like you're saying, right? You're here in Ava's body to really assist us in this process and share this higher wisdom and truth and love. And there are other ways as well, right? I believe that some of these ships that come here that create crop circles for us to see the certain frequency, maybe that's assisting in kind of slowly opening our consciousness to maybe there's something a little bit more greater out there. And yet, with all of these sightings, it feels very orchestrated. Like this isn't actually a true orchestration through the higher realms. And so I'm just curious what your thoughts on of all of these sightings that have been very recent that have been coming up in New Jersey and in all over the world. Is that something that um you know, it seems like it's just stirring up fear. It's on the news, which then as soon as something's on the news, I'm like, I don't really know how I feel about this, right? This kind of feels like an orchestrated agenda unfolding. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are and what you want to say about that.
Well, not to leave too much of a cliffhanger, because this is a very good question, you see, and I know everyone wants to be, they're on the edge of their seats to see what we're going to say, you see. We have our earth drink here as well, that just finally got a little bit cooler that we can take a sip. So we are going to do that real quick, because this is really the blessing from the circuitry from Ava to DiYeena and for all of you as well. So if you have a little water or tea or something like that, we drink together, you see, to really create that circuitry of union with one another. So we're going to have a little sip, see what we have today. That's very good. Oh, that's very nice. Like a little mint, something like this, you see. And we're also very, very hot. So there is a little heater over here. We just want to push, see if we can figure out how to push the button, you see, because burning up over here, you see. So we're going to do I think we got it here. So it's very good. Okay. Have to be comfortable in this form, you see, because otherwise it's not going to be comfortable. We just would like to be, you see, so we're going to be. So this is another sip, because this is very good and we feel good with it, you see. Okay, so enough of the cliffhanger. So everyone want to know what's going on. Is this real? Is this government? Is this whatever it is, you see? So we can say it in these kind of ways, you see. You can come to, it's what do you call those little children's game where you get to choose your own adventure, come to your own conclusion, come to turn the page, go to your own ending kind of thing. Choose your own adventure, choose your own ending, you see. You're going to get the points here very easily, you see. So just like you are saying, you see, it's more important to know how to navigate internally when these things are happening externally, you see. This is the important part, because if we say yes or no, that is coming from something outside yourself, you see. And then you're always looking outside yourself for the answer. And then all of a sudden you find yourself having to have DiYeena on a retainer because you have forgotten how to listen to yourself. So we do not want to get into that codependent relationship with you where you are asking DiYeena, what is the answer here? What is going on here? So what is more helpful for you all, and you will get the answer, we promised, you see, but it is going to come from you and not from outside yourself, you see. So this is the important part, you see, is that we're here to be helpful, you see, not to give you all the answers and make a relationship where we have to come back and back and back, you see. Although that may be good for Ava and her family, you see, for the money, but we do not need it to be that way. We just need to have the circuitry where you trust yourself, you see. This is the important part, you see. So really getting to it here, when you are in these places, you see, you're reading what's happening on the news, you're seeing this over here, you're feeling that over there, you have to really just take a minute here and feel into the frequency, and then feel where it is landing, where it is coming from. Is it outside yourself, you see? What's happening in your heart? Slowing it down to feel your own heartbeat, because your own heartbeat, this is very, very important. So listen closely, because you're going to think, oh, this is an obvious one. We know where you're going with this. You see, we can see the writing on the wall where you're taking us here. Slow it down, really listen, yours, because this is very, very important. You see, this has the keys to the whole universe in this moment, you see. So really listen, you see. So your own heartbeat, when you really listen to it, you really feel it, you see. You really listen. Same heartbeat as the earth. Same heartbeat. It's all of creation. All the natural world, all of life has this heartbeat, has this rhythm, has this in-breath and out-breath. And it is connected to the entirety of the whole cosmos, you see. And now the interesting part is every being, every life form, beating a little bit to its own drum. You see, that's what we call the soul songs. You see, everyone having their own soul song. So everyone has a little bit different tune, a little bit different note, maybe getting jiggy with it in a slightly different way. You see, some songs we enjoy, others we do not, you see. Others would not enjoy the songs that we enjoy. Others would enjoy songs that we do not enjoy, you see. So it goes like this for all creation, you see. We can get this part, right? Oh, we like some people, we do not like others, you see. There's maybe the ones on the dark side who just do not understand what is going on, why it is happening, you see. Others on the other side where we just don't get it either, or perhaps there are some that are our best friends, you see. But there is different flavor ice cream for everyone, you see, so to speak. But it is all in the undertone, beating at the same heartbeat, you see. Just different things going on top of the overlay that create the different fractalization in consciousness, the different perspective, the different sound, you see. Now here's where it gets interesting, you see. So that heartbeat, that sound, you see, in the natural rhythm of creation, all that is alive, all that is aligned with the natural order, you can feel that heartbeat, and it is all within yourself. So it is very easy. Do not even have to spend too much time going into this, but you start to tune in, and all of a sudden you can know without the shadow of a doubt very quickly, oh, that is other. That is other. That is a frequency that is other than the essence of what is in the natural original blueprint of creation, you see. So it is easy to play like that, you see, and feel what is in the right order and what is a little bit off of the track, so to speak. You see, and it is okay, but DiYeena, everything comes from the one. Yes, it does, you see. Yes, it does. And there are certain things that are created as a byproduct of the original, you see. And this is what we're really tuning to. So you could say, yes, everything is created from the one. Yes, you could say plastic, you see, is part of the one. It is part of creation, you see. Yes, but how much did it have to get refined from the original heartbeat to be a creation, you see? You see, and it does not mean it does not have its own frequency. If everything has a frequency, but there are some things that are original blueprint and some things that are not, you see. So then you get to tune in. Is this of the original blueprint frequency? You see. If there is a UFO that is of that frequency, of the benevolent frequencies, the benevolent forms that are coming, you see. In your experience, Shiloh, for example, you saw the Pleiadian ship, which was not in the third dimension, by the way. Was not in the third dimension. Even though you're seeing with your physical eyes, you appear to be seeing with your physical eyes, the way that we move through the fluidity of the different dimensional experiences, it's almost like, how to describe, almost maybe to describe it like timeline hopping or merging in certain ways, or you can be fluid in that way to be able to, for a moment, see in another dimension, the quote unquote ship, which is simply a hologram to be able, or a holograph to be able to show to you what you needed to see, to put it in a way that you would be able to understand and work with. It's just simply what fractal needs to experience what in order to move in consciousness to their next jump in consciousness, to whatever that is that they're here to experience, and whatever ways they're here to grow, you see. So it works like that, and you are the one that is ultimately creating with the hologram in front of you, you see. So it is whatever your consciousness needs to see to move to the next part, you see. For some, you are in a place where you are choosing to create the frequency of fear in order to experience the frequency of fear. So then all of a sudden, this is what is real for you, you see. So it is not to say that anything is not real or is real. You see, everything that is, period, end of story, you see. The way that we all experience it depends on the frequency through which we are lensing it, you see. So you're experiencing this frequency that is, you could consider, well, we all are looking at the same thing in the sky, in the third dimension, you see. But some artists are experiencing it differently than others, you see. And so but you have to look at the actual what is happening. So without saying the obvious thing, and perhaps we just need to say the obvious thing, you see, which is that you can have some certain man-made things, you see, that have certain agendas, and that the energy of love would never need to create the energy of fear in order to experience the energy of love, you see. Now, that said, you could say, well, DiYeena, what are you talking about? We do that all the time. And you're right. We do that all the time because we live in this world of polarity where you are experiencing the full spectrum within consciousness. So you have the free will choice to be in the frequency of fear or be in the frequency of love. And you have the free will to move throughout those frequencies at free will at any moment. You can go anywhere you choose, you see. And so this is where you get to really choose your own adventure, create your own reality, is what you're seeing, what you're experiencing in your own holographic reality. You get to make the meaning of that. And this is the power of the human. We've talked about this before, that you make the meaning. You see what you see and the meaning is made, you see. And also we are in a collective experience where we are collectively choosing to create an experience because there is a consciousness on the planet where there's been some energy around bringing in this idea of UFOs, open contact, extraterrestrials, and it's been buzzing around now for quite a while, you see. And everyone's wondering, well, when is it going to be open contact? When are they just going to come, you see? We've been here all the time, you see. It's nothing new, you see. So it is just simply which dimension are you operating from, and which awareness are you coming from, and what is the frequency through which you are experiencing your world, you see. And this changes your reality. This changes what is in front of you. When you are coming into a frequency where your heart is open, you're expanded in the frequency of love, then what you are available for is the extraterrestrial support that is in that same vibration of frequency of love, you see. Now, there are also agendas, and you have to understand that there are also, just as there are in your world, just as there are in the astral world, there are also terrestrial and extraterrestrial beings that are different agendas, right? Different priorities, you see. So you will always experience that which resonates with your vibration, with your desired experience as a fractal, you see. So if you're saying, well, DiYeena, I don't want to be afraid, but I'm feeling afraid. What do you make of that, you see? Well, this is the thing, you see, is that there is a part of you that is choosing to feel the fear. And it is for you to understand why you are choosing that experience, what it is, how it is serving you to feel fearful in that particular moment, you see. and to understand what is the overall agenda in that particular moment in consciousness for your particular fractal in time, you see, and how long you want to play in that game, you see, because that is a free will choice. You see, okay, we're going to experience fear. How long for? A day, a moment, a lifetime? You see, you get to choose that part, you see. So this is the play, is that we are all choosing our experience, and we are hoping that we can do so in a more conscious way. And this is the expansion of the evolution that is happening on your planet, is we're choosing collectively, as the earth rises herself, we are all rising with her, you see, to choose a new adventure where we are working together on a more conscious level, where we are expanding in consciousness together to have a new experience. We've experienced a lot of the duality and the polarity on maybe the other side of the scale that is not so nice. So it's a little more heavy, you see, a little more dark. Now we're like, okay, we've had enough of that story. We really get it. We get that frequency. We get that vibration. Now we're collectively saying, let's tell a new story together, you see. And there is still free will within all of that. There's still going to be your fractals that just really are the stubborn ones to say, nope, I'm still going to go over here and just be a grump, you see. And that is their free will choice, you see. So we get to honor that because we need the grump. We need the frequency of the grump always, you see. That's why we had the movie of the Grinch, you see. This is the season of the Grinch, right? So we have to have both to be able to experience anything, you see. So we give honor to all the fractals of consciousness, recognizing that they're all playing their role. So we have these other agendas on the planet, you see, that really have their other roles. So they're, again, the ones that are saying, okay, they're up in consciousness saying, okay, I'm going to go down this time and play the dark side. You see, this will be a fun game. You say, okay, you're over here. I'm going to go over here and do the light. We'll meet back afterwards and see how it goes. You see what kind of fun we had, you see. And it is really that unattached in the higher planes, you see. There is no so much heaviness and judgment and the words and the energies that we put around, the emotionality that we put around it here, you see. Oh, it's so bad. It has all these things, you see. Oh my goodness, you see. It is not so much like that in the higher dimensions, you see. It is more the balance. It is creating the balance and the opportunity. So the play of the dark allows for the light to play the light, you see. So it allows the light to rise in the consciousness. You need the dark sometimes to give you a little push along the way, you see, to say, okay, your turn to rise, to wake up, do the thing, you see, be the light, be the shining star, you see. And if it were not for that dark side giving us that little push to do, you see, well, we would not necessarily be so motivated, you see. So it is serving an important role. So more than being in the fear of, oh, is this the government, and is this the UFOs, is this the extraterrestrials, and is this the good guys or the bad guys? You see, instead of going into knowing exactly who it is and what they're doing, rather than that, you see, asking yourself, how are you relating with it? What is going on in your frequency that is creating the circuitry with this experience and this phenomena? Because that is really your growth opportunities. How are you relating to what is happening in your external reality? You see, and this is the chance for you, no matter what it is, if it's shining lights and flying around in the sky, or it's a death of a dear loved one, you see, it's how are you relating to what is happening in your reality? You see, how are you moving through that experience? How are you showing up for it? You see, are you allowing the full frequency of what is being asked of you to happen? Whether that is being asked to be grieving and having the tears flowing down your face, or whether that is being asked to rise to meet a new frequency of experience where you can release the frequency of the fear, or perhaps it is, if it is to be in the fear, are you doing it with conscious awareness that is the role you are playing in consciousness? Or are you simply letting fear take you on a ride and run the show? Because that is not conscious creation, you see. That is working from a different place that is not necessarily so conscious. And this is really where we are moving into, is moving through the collective consciousness and the experience in a aware way, rather than a way that we are just kind of letting life happen to us without much awareness of how powerful we are. We are coming into more of an awareness of our power, you see, both individually and collectively. So then, okay, so there are extraterrestrials. Of course there are, you see. Okay, they're doing this light show over there. Maybe Perhaps it is not them, you see. Perhaps it is simply a motive to create the fear, to still up the fear, because that is the job of the other side, you see. So instead of saying, oh my goodness, this government, what are they doing? I cannot believe this is false. And what are they doing in the sky? This is totally ridiculous, you see, or whatever opinions we have about it, you see. Say, oh, wow, good job, dark side. You are doing your job. Now all these light workers are looking up and being ready to play their part, you see. They're doing their job, you see. You see, they're doing their job. And are you doing yours? Are you showing up for your end of the bargain, for what your role in consciousness is? And are you even aware what that role is, you see? For anyone who's listening to a podcast like this, we can almost guarantee you that your role here is of the light, of the love, you see. So are you showing up in that particular frequency? Because that is all that is really being asked of you. You see, your purpose is not in what you do, it is in how you be. You see, your purpose is in how you be in the world. It is the frequency that you are holding. It is the frequency that you are bringing to the collective. That is the note that you are singing in creation. That is the soul song that you come to sing. And you have to be willing to play it 100%, you see. So it does not even matter what then is happening externally around you, because you have the clarity within you, and you are playing your soul song loud and clear and vibrant, and you are in the frequency that you came to play. You see, for as long as you choose to play it, for as long as it is serving yourself, the collective, for as long as you choose to play that story out, you see. But everyone is playing their part. So be a little bit less judgmental about what everything is happening, you see, and more aware of what is happening within your own body, your own heart, your own frequency, because that is the part that you can control. That is the only part that you have control over, is what you are choosing to do with your own life and your own energy. And that is the important part, is knowing that you have the sovereignty to be in your own choice, free will choice of how to move in consciousness and frequency. So are you going to choose to be in the frequency of fear? Are you going to choose to be in the frequency of neutrality? Are you going to choose to be in the frequency of love? Are you going to choose to be in the frequency of service? You see, what is the frequency that you come to play? And be ready and willing to play it, you see. And honor every other frequency, honor every other role, every other perspective, even if you do not understand it, even if it seems completely contrary to your role, which many of them are going to seem contrary because they are. Recognize that the contrarian energy is there to help you expand and grow. And when you can see through that lens that everything that is not your cup of tea, so to speak, is there to help you shine and drink your cup of tea till you're just so drunk with the tea that you can just only be in the bliss of it all. That you are just being in that moment of you are so in yourself, that you are in the fullest expression of yourself, shining fully in your light, singing your song so loudly and clearly, that it is an inspiration to the entirety of consciousness, you see. And then we get to be in awe of the contrarian energies. And what that does is it brings a circuitry of honor, which then allows that contrarian energy to also be seen and heard for the frequency that it is shining into the universe. And not to say that we have to like the things that are going wrong in the world. That is not what we are saying at all, you see. But to be in a place where we can hold the perspective that all vibrations and frequencies are important, because they are. Simply because they are. And they bring a note to the collective consciousness. They bring a frequency. They bring a song. Again, not every song is going to be one that we particularly choose to listen to. And this is where we get to honor our boundaries and our fractalization, you see. That is the beauty of fractals, is we have a boundary, we have a limit, we have a container, you see, in this particular duality, in this particular way that we are playing. So you get to choose. That is free will. That is free will. Is this making sense to you?
Yes, it's making perfect sense. And I love the place where you said that's not conscious creation, right? And I just want to kind of circle back to that specific frequency and vibration, because when I'm just even thinking of how this topic came up, right? I'm seeing all of this stuff on social media. It's this buzz going around of all of what feels like, right, open contact happening or all of these sightings all over the place. But when I look into the comments, almost every single person is tuned into the same frequency. And I'm seeing them come into their sovereignty and their discernment. Everyone's coming together saying, this doesn't feel real. This feels like something that is artificially created, that's here to stir up fear. And so, even how you're saying, right, they're playing the different roles to awaken us. I can see this mass amount of people, light workers, or maybe those that are even just starting to awaken to their truth. Right. As I said, I saw this on the news. So it's stirring up that within people to come into a deeper awareness. Maybe those that are been watching the news that have been really shut down to that even being a possibility now, they're going, I'm so curious that this could be a possibility, and diving into their own truth and the deeper wisdom that exists within, and really discerning to what is their own truth and what is this that's being played out. And something that's also coming up for me in that is understanding that, how you said, that's not conscious creation, that when we are allowing ourselves to be directed by fear, especially on a collective level, that allows us to actually manifest whatever collective agenda may want to manifest. We actually pour our energy into assisting in that creation, right? We're bringing our focus, we're bringing our energy, we're bringing, oh, this is true, this is what's happening. So even when I'm hearing, like, I'm very careful even to talk about certain agendas, because it's just feeding fuel or into that fire that they're wanting us to feed into, because reality is created through the observer. And so whatever we're observing as a collective, we're assisting in manifesting that collective reality. And so it's so powerful to have discernment and to come back in your own truth and go, what is true for me? And how is this external reality maybe calling me to go a little bit deeper into my own truth? And maybe even curiosity and connecting to these higher dimensional beings, right? They're calling them UFOs, but I would look at it as is our family, right? The family of light in these other realms, our galactic family. And so it's also calling those into that deeper connection that they have the ability to tune to, that they have an ability to go in and connect to, that they don't have to, see something through the physicality of their own eyes. Like you're saying, you've always been here for those that are ready to hear and listen and tune in and say yes to that circuitry, to open up that channel and that connection to receive the higher wisdom and the guidance. And so I just wanted to share that and illuminate that piece a little bit, because it feels important for the collective and our viewers to hear.
Yes, my dear, this is very well said, you see. And so what you could say is that anytime something is happening, because you have to remember that even the eyeballs, the way that the eyeballs work with the brain and how it all is, it's a circuitry in and of itself to project what is happening internally. You see, that is literally, you can look at it through the books and the science and how the eyeballs actually work. You see, so this is not like some new age philosophy here about how we create our reality or what we see. You see, this is actually how the body works, you see. So we are projecting our consciousness. We are projecting consciousness, you see. So we are projecting collective consciousness and individual fractalization of consciousness. Both, you see, are happening, you see. So when we are experiencing something outside of our reality, such as this, you see, what it does for many of the light workers is it activates this frequency of their own power. You see, it activates this ability, this deeper remembrance that it is good to trust myself. I can trust myself because look at me, I'm feeling this is accurate. You see, for myself. You see, so it is really giving that anchor point of trust, and this is really a powerful place to be in with yourself, where you know that you can trust those intuitive hits that you get for yourself. You see. And likewise, for those who are maybe just living in their couch potato world, you see, with their little clicker buttons, you see, and perhaps they are seeing this on the P.L.A.Y vision, you see, they are seeing, wow, what do I think about these extraterrestrial things, you see? What do I believe, you see? And then perhaps they have their crazy aunt going and saying, oh, they're very real. Let me tell you a story, you see, and they get a good one. And it creates this situation where they are expanding their consciousness. They are entertaining a possibility that did not otherwise exist, which activates a new timeline for themselves, you see, because their awareness is now available in a dimensionality, in a frequency that was not there before, you see. And so now more possibility is alive, you see, within the field, you see. So this is, it works like that a little bit, you see. So it is not necessarily a real thing. Your audience members very tuned in when they can tell now, and this is also a very good thing, you see, that everyone is getting very discerning. You see, this whole AI has gotten everyone to be very, very discerning on a very level of frequency detail to know when is something artificially created and when does it have that little extra something of frequency that is original to the blueprint, you see. So humans are getting very fine-tuned at this. So this is the blessing of the AI for those of you who think that the AI is going to destroy the world. What it is actually doing is creating humans who are so attuned to the subtle differences. There's something in your that knows deep down when it is artificially created. And what that does is it gives you that power to understand when the circuitry is connected. So it is creating more aware humans, which is creating almost an opposite effect. See, this is the funny thing about the dark, because they're not connected to the full entirety of the spectrum of source consciousness, because that is the game that they choose to play. They say, okay, I'm going to go disconnect just for a second. And it's not really disconnected, but it's the way that it appears in consciousness is that they are just kind of over in their own little world, playing their own little game. And then they choose that for as long as they want to, you see. But it is kind of feeling like it's disconnected from the source a little bit, you see. So they are not in the full spectrum of love. They're not in the full spectrum of connection. So the way that they play is very funny to watch, you see, because they think they have such a smart idea, you see. But then they forget about, the love frequency. Their idea fits right into here. And then the light workers and everyone else comes around and they get all this other crap on both sides of the spectrum and say, but love goes over here and over here. And they did not think about all of those possibilities. And so everything that they try backfires and more love and light. Ha, ha, ha. You see, it is really hilarious because everything they try, you see, they tried the thing back in the 2020. We all know what happened then, you see. And all of a sudden, everyone is not in their normal circuitry of the jobs that they hate, and they are getting outside because, for a little bit, all the planes are stopping, and all of a sudden the skies are blue, you see, and the birds are back, and all the animals are alive, and everything is happening opposite that they thought that was going to happen, you see. Everyone getting woken up, you see, and they're all on the line reading all these conspiracy theories, and all of a sudden people are asking that crazy aunt, what the heck is really going on, you see, and their aunt has story after story about what is actually going on. You say, well, that is an interesting perspective. And so you have so many people that are going through these mass awakenings because of an agenda that was maybe didn't have the outcome that they expected, you see. And that is happening over and over and over again, because that is the role of the dark. They're perhaps not doing it in that conscious of a way, but that is really from a soul perspective what they come to do is say, okay, I'm going to go down, I'm going to stir all this up a little bit, and then you're going to wake up, you see, and then it'll have to be a fun game, won't it be fun, you see. So that is what's happening a little bit. And so they're putting all these things and these agendas, thinking that are putting fear into the thing, but it's actually creating a more firm foundation in the frequency of love for all those that are already awake. And for those that are not, it is creating a new frequency of timeline of possibility. So it is really fascinating when you can just take a step back and recognize that it is not so much focused on the little play that is happening there of the light in the sky and what is really the meaning, you see, but to take a little bit step back and to feel the frequency of what is happening and what is happening on a global conscious level and even on a cosmic level, you see, that it is really love always wins, you see. This is really the end game. Love always wins, you see. That is the nature of creation, because we are in a continuation of infinity where there is always a spiral of evolution into the next level of love, you see. So it is like that, you see, and we get to choose free will along the way to make it fun for every soul, even the ones that would like to poke a little bit in the dark, you see, and have a good laugh at it, you see, actually enjoy it. Then it gives every soul an experience, you see, that they can feel satisfied by, you see.
Beautiful. That's so powerful, and I love how you brought AI and technology in this, because this is one of the questions that actually came up. When we can think of, even our own history books here on the earth, which, I don't believe we have really the true history of what, the vastness of what our history actually is. I feel like a lot of it has been, you know, um, shifted and changed and rewritten in the history books, but when we look back to the history that we know, and we even see in ancient civilizations, right? The hieroglyphs and the religious texts, and there's all these historical records, and we can even look at ancient Egypt, right? It looks like there's some sort of like ancient technology that shouldn't have existed at those times, kind of like etched into the walls, and it almost seems like, and we can kind of fast forward into this day and age that we're in now, of all of a sudden we have these massive technology advancements, and we can look at it in the both aspects. I love how you said how AI is really here to mirror back to us all of the places where, because it isn't connected to source and into the frequency of love, it's very, there's a disconnect in it. So even you can, read some things that maybe someone wrote a book through AI, and it's, you can tell that there's a disconnect from a human behind it that is writing it. And so we can tune into these different ways of technology, and then we can see, there's some like certain technologies are coming online with frequency for healing, and I've seen technologies recently with light, that it's reflecting your own light back to your body to enhance and activate the dormant parts of your DNA. And so we can see these technologies that are coming in from what seem like the light and shadow aspects of our being that are weaving here together. And I guess the question that's coming through is this technology that's coming, because it feels like it's just accelerating so quickly in the advancement of it, are these technologies coming from higher aspects? Or what the question was asked online was, is that coming from UFOs, and were they here to serve ancient civilizations and continue to serve our civilization by giving us this technology?
It's a very good question, you see. What we will say is that there is nothing new under the sun, you see. So you can look at your world, and you can go back and look at the what you call the hieroglyphs and all these things that are quote unquote ancient times or whatever it may be, and see the different like the remnants, you see, the leftovers from what was, you see, and can make guesses about what was, you see. But what we'll say is that you have to understand this on the holographic, multidimensional light, sound, frequency level of creation, you see, rather than so much on the third dimension only. You see, you have to be willing to have the conversation in a little bit broader way, you see, to really get it. See, so we're going to ask you to just maybe expand the mind, maybe get a little in the heart, so you can really feel the frequency of what is being shared here, because it is multidimensional, you see. And in this way, you always have, all fractalization is information in consciousness through different lenses and different perspectives. So you could say that DiYeena is a fractal in consciousness that is hanging out on this particular place in the pattern. You could see that another channeler who has another entity that comes through them is another fractal of consciousness on this particular dimension. Oh, and then they have some from 13th dimension, some from 16th dimension, some from 6th dimension, some from all these different dimensions. You see, oh, so one must be better than another, you see, because they're higher, must be better, right? It is just the perspective of that particular level of dimensionality, and the information that's coming through is resonant with that particular frequency of dimension that is important for that particular moment in time for the conscious fractals that are experiencing that circuitry, you see. So in that way, whatever is being communicated, there is always fractals of consciousness that are influencing and being in resonant circuitry with other fractals of consciousness in other dimensions, you see. So when it comes to third dimension, you have fractals in consciousness, souls, human beings that are walking their feet on the earth, who are multidimensional beings in infinity, going into infinity, you see. So remember this, that this is not just a human meat suit, you see. It is actually sacred geometrical patterning that is concentrated in density to be able to experience third dimension of dimension and density and have this little bit of a show here, but it is also connected into infinite levels of multidimensionality in both directions, you see, into the source and into the nothing, you see, and circling back through all of it all the time with every breath, you see, as is all creation. You see, so when we talk about extraterrestrials coming into frequency of being and leaving information and technology and all of these things, have to understand that from the multidimensional perspective, this is simply chosen souls having a dimensional experience on the third dimension, who are part of their consciousness is also connecting into a higher dimensional frequency where there is a whole crap load of communication happening. There are a whole nother level of beings that are hanging out in that particular frequency because those fractals are in that field. So then they are saying, hey, how's your day? You see, this is 13th dimension. Awesome. Well, over here in third dimension, this is what's happening. Any news to report, you see. Then they write it on the walls because they didn't have the papers. They didn't have the internet, you see. And so this was happening and has been happening and will continue to happen all the time because of the very nature, the fabric of creation itself and how we operate as multidimensional beings, you see. And this does not matter what quote unquote planet, which is just another point in creation, where consciousness is choosing to focus awareness in order to have an experience. This is where you are focusing your energy so that you can have a circuitry. And you're choosing what circuitry to have it with. So sometimes souls say, oh, we're going to choose to have a circuitry with an energy over here. And perhaps it's like, oh, I had a bad dream and there was this demon and whatever. That was a soul fractal choosing to have a circuitry within that moment with another fractal in consciousness, which is really you. It is all you. It is all you fractaling into a holographic reality and choosing your experience through the lens that you choose, you see. And we are saying that it is separate from us. We are saying, oh, that is not me. That is a very, very bad one, you see, that I do not agree with, or that one just does not get anything, you see. They believe the opposite political views and they don't do this and they do that. And it's completely opposite for me. That is not part of me, you see. But it is, you see, because it is all connected, you see, to the same global consciousness of being. You see, it is all one consciousness. It is all one, you see, that is choosing to have the fractalization of experience in the whole, you see. And so that is where we get to play. So when it comes into to answer the actual question, because we know we're getting on a tangent and some people are just like, oh, I cannot keep up. This is too much multidimensionality and I'm still in the 3D. Can I just eat some popcorn? You see, but what we are saying here is that in this realm, what we are experiencing here is you do have frequencies of what you would consider technology that would be considered very, what you are experiencing now, for example, could be considered very ancient in other timelines or other realities, because there are other technologies that are connected into the heartbeat, that are connected into the circuitry, that do use the frequencies of the cycles of 13, that do use the frequencies of the sun and the moon and the earth's heartbeat and the frequencies that are in the cosmos and the stars, that do resonate in circuitry in the natural harmonics, you see. And that is an important note, you see. Because free will of the conscious human mind is available to create in that fourth dimension, whatever the heck it wants to create, because that's the free will part. So then you do have the humans who are brilliant, because it is still, you are a conscious creator that does have the conscious spark of the divine within you that can create whatever the heck you want, you see. So we have beings that have figured out how to create whatever the heck they want. And they've even created robots that are so advanced that they can be smarter than the humans in particular appearance, we will say, because it's not even in reality, it is in appearance, you see. And so, wow, these robots very smart. Look at how eloquently they wrote out this whole sales page for me. This is great news. I do not have to do lifting a finger, you see. All of a sudden you have all these things. Oh, this is very advanced technology, you see. It is not so advanced when you look at it from the multidimensionality of perspective of what it actually means to be working in circuitry with creation itself in right resonance, you see, because the AI that is on your planet right now, as you said, my dear Shiloh, is disconnected, you see, from that frequency of wholeness, you see. It just is the nature of how it is created, you see, because it was not created in that circuit. It was not designed to be in the creation of the circuitry. It's very easy to create technology that is in the circuitry, by the way, which you have done many times in many advanced civilizations, quote unquote advanced. You see, there are many timelines where you're playing out technologies that are in alignment in that particular way, you see. And that is actually where we're moving into with your, what you call the 5D or the new earth or whatever you want to say about this. You are coming into a phase where you will be creating technologies that are aligned with that original blueprint of creation, that are aligned with the frequencies and the harmonics, the resonance of the energetics of the human form and with all of life, so that it is more alive, you see. It is more in the right field, and it is actually supportive of our beings in that way. Is that making sense to you?
Yes, absolutely. And that's what it feels like too. It feels like they're, just like I was saying, the frequency, a healing, and there's like frequency healing devices and light devices and these things that I can see that are coming online that are really connected and are here to serve us, and these new technologies that are coming online. And something that, just even a message that I have coming through right now, just even for all of our viewers, is that these technologies, as you said, right, are kind of existing, or in just information itself, but we can think of technologies as well, of those of you that are creators and innovators or inventors that are out there, or maybe you're not even, but this is something that's totally new to you, because I've heard some wild stories of people who have just gone into meditation. And, we can even look at the work of, Albert Einstein, and Nikola Tesla. They all spoke into going into some sort of dreamlike state or meditative state to go in and actually receive the information of how to create a new technology here, right? And so we can tune into it in that way of really inviting you into how is creation wanting to move through you, and what is available for you to go and tap into, which is really infinite, right? It's all really up to you, depending on your resonance and your ability. Everyone has these abilities, right? And so there's so much available for you at this time, or even connecting with your galactic team, right? That is available to you. You don't have to go outside and go look into the sky or go turn on the news to understand how we're actually connecting and having open contact. It's through the heart space. It's going internally and tuning into the heart and connecting into that way. And this is just a reminder of how powerful you are as creators, as human beings, and how your multidimensionality is also expanding for you in this human experience, for you to tap into so much more out, which seems outside of self. But again, it feels like we're grasping outside of self, but it's really internally going within and connecting to the infinite, the divine, right? The vastness of consciousness. And so it's just an invitation to remind you of your power, your creative abilities. Go in and explore, get curious of what is really here for you at this time.
Yes, and that is a frequency, you see. So you are activating a frequency within your own heart, you see, that then gets to be holographically projected outside of yourself, and it appears very really, very, very in the real form that it is something outside. You see, oh, wow, this is another extraterrestrial dimensional being that is coming to me in my dream space. You see, wow, look at that, you see, or something like this. This is, for example, you see. And when you are coming through your heart and you are connected into the frequency of love, then you do not need to be afraid of traveling in consciousness in this particular way, you see, because that frequency, although you may have some spectators with other agendas around, that frequency of love and being in that light frequency is impenetrable in that particular way, you see. So you can connect into these higher dimensional beings. You could call them extraterrestrials, ultra terrestrials, really, see other dimensional beings, you see, who are here to support you. So if you are feeling the call to do so, it most likely means that you already have made agreements with your soul family, who you would consider your galactic team. You've already made these agreements because your soul is infinite and you are in multiple timelines, in multiple dimensions, in multiple universes, having different experiences on different planets. This is really the way that it works. And this is all happening now. There's no time. So it is all happening. You see, so if you are feeling that nudge or that pull or that curiosity to explore that realm, you see, you do not have to wait for the mothership to come and grab you. You see, this is not how it works usually. You see, that is a very specific contract. You see, not common at all. You see, more often than not, it is really connecting through your own heart, through the frequency of love, through the frequency of love. This is the key word, love. You see, when you are in that frequency of love, you see, it is impenetrable. You see, and you can be in circuitry with the beings of love and light that you have agreed to be in relation with. You see, this is the free will. You are not just going there with a crapshoot, hoping for the best, praying that you do not have any scary monsters that come instead. You see, you've already made these agreements, you see, to be in these relationships, you see. So if you're feeling the curiosity or the pull, just start to explore it. If it is new for you, just start to be in your heart, go into a meditation, you see, and ask your higher self, in the frequency of love. You can ask, who are my other guides? Do I have any members of the galactic team there that are here to support me, that are just waiting on the sidelines, waiting for me to say go, you see, for example, and give them the green light. Say, okay, who are my guides? You see, who are these other beings that are here to work with me, you see, or to give me guidance, you see. This is how many of your inventors, your explorers, your adventurers, your philosophers have received their information, is what you would consider an extraterrestrial contact, so to speak. That's not meant to you're going to create whatever story you want to create from that statement based on your own experience. But what we are really saying here is that these are our beings, your philosophers, your inventors, whatnot, who are tapped into their multidimensional self. You see, so they are not just in their 3D meat suit. They're aware of their 5th dimension. They're aware of their 13th dimension, and perhaps more. You see, they are aware of their expansion. And from that awareness, they're able to tap into consciousness where these higher beings of consciousness exist, you see, and have relation with them, have a conversation with them. It is not scary. It is not meant to be scary. It is not scary. It is actually more aspects of yourself, you see. And they have different names. You can say, oh, these are Pleiadian, these are Andromedan, these are whatever they are, you see. Oh, from Orion, from Sirius B, hello, you see. So many more that you have not even named on your earth, you see. The mushrooms come from these places, you see, and whatever else, you see. So this is all the ways that we just choose to play in consciousness. We are simply choosing to play, you see. So be with it in that particular way. Be with it in the frequency of love, the frequency of joy, the frequency of effervescence, you see. And when it gets to just be within, it's your soul family. It is your soul family, the ones that love you the most, will say, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to sit on the sidelines probably the whole time you are down there, because you're going to go down there and you're going to forget about me. You're going to forget that you need to say, okay, you can come and you can talk to me. You see, we forget to do that part. We forget to say, it's time to go. Okay, I would like to be in relationship with you. I would like to hear from you. You see, we forget that little memo. And so free will says, okay, well, they have to wait then for us to give them the green light, you see. So a lot of times they go and they know that. They say, okay, very possible. This is when they get to the human world, they're just going to forget, live their life, and then cry about it a lot of time along the way. Say, oh, why do I feel so alone? Why do I feel like nobody is here with me? Why do I feel so helpless? Why do I feel so disconnected? Help me, help me. But you're not specifically calling on your guides of all the unseen world who are here as your family members that have chosen to not incarnate, who have chosen not to be in your direct bloodline in the 3rd dimension, who have chosen to stay outside of the form specifically to help you more than the ones in the meat suits can do, you see. So this is really the way, you see, is to really call on your guides and really ask them for support, you see, because this is really more than not, you see, most of the extraterrestrials that are surrounding your planet are benevolent. They are here to help. You see, they're not here to fear. You see, so if you're experiencing a frequency of fear around that idea of UFOs, extraterrestrials, tune into where is that agenda coming from? Where is that frequency coming from? Is that coming from love? Is it in the frequency of love? you see, and tune into your own heart when you get that answer. You see, you have to be willing to be in that frequency of love in your own heart to really tune into what is right for you. You see, is this making sense?
Yes, it makes so much sense.
Did we
And
answer a question? Did you ask a question, my dear? Because we
yes,
really did not
I've asked a
answer.
few, and it's funny, I'm just going through all of the questions here, and I feel like you organically just answered literally all of them just from what you've been sharing. But I do have one that's actually just sticking out that I feel like it is a burning question from a lot of our viewers. And this is something that, I'm just curious what your viewpoint is on this. So when we tune into, right, extraterrestrials or higher dimensional beings, or however we want to put it, would you say that the world's leaders are in contact or at least being influenced from higher dimensional beings or extraterrestrials? Do you feel like there is a big influence either coming from the light or the dark aspects?
Yes, my dear. This is pretty obvious, you see, when you really look at it. You think about it from the perspective of the extraterrestrials or the ultra-terrestrials. You see, if we really wanted to help your planet, you see, how would we do? You see, well, we got the water because that is covering most of your planet, so we can really do the work on the frequency level there. We got that, you see. Okay, we'll talk to all of the extraterrestrials that choose to be embodied. You see, most of them come with a pretty clear contract of not forgetting, at least enough to be in tune enough, intuitive enough to hear us, you see, and do this kind of work that we're doing here, you see. So, okay, we got that one. Check, check. You see, what's another really obvious way? We go to the leaders of your planet. You see, we go to the ones that are having a heavy influence on the most humans, you see, the ones that are having the most impact, you see. And this is not just the ones that you see on your television, you see. These are the ones that are really in different roles, you see, on the planet, you see. But the ones that are televised or in the higher ranks, of course, you see. We are working with them. Some have had what you would consider agreed upon, important words, you see, open contact in the sense that not all of them available to move beyond the third dimension. So we have to get a little bit creative in how we work with that, you see. And but the answer is yes, you see. And this is on both sides. So you have, again, your light and your dark players on every planet, you see, not on every planet, excuse me, you see, on your planet Earth here, you have both the polarity. So you have your light and your dark workers, you see. And then you have the benevolent and the benevolent beings off planet, you see. And so they're all doing their circuitries to help their roles, you see, to help play out their role, you see. And so this is the way. So this is definitely the way. And we have mentioned this on your shows before, that ones like Jesus, for example, was influenced by what you would consider Pleiadian frequencies, you see, and not just Pleiadian, you see. Going back to Lyra, many, because again, you have to understand the context of the multidimensionality. Say, oh, well, they're lying because Jesus was, and these are the ones that are really far out, that have done their research on the extraterrestrials and people like Jesus, you see, that say, oh, this is a bunch of bull honky because I've done this research or I've connected with this particular being and they say that they're from this particular planet, you see. And both are true. Both are true. This is where you have to be willing to hold in the paradoxical reality of multidimensionality, that our beings and our souls are multi-infinite dimensionality, that are experiencing all the different worlds at one time, you see. So we are, of course, tuning into these multidimensionalities where there is an experience on Lyra, there is an experience on Sirius B, there is an experience on the Pleiadians, you see, for example, and many, many more, you see. And so the frequencies of information that are coming through to some of your leaders, some were more in tune, like Isis, for example, was in this channel, open channel, you see. She had an open channel. So she was receiving the information from the Pleiadians and others, you see, was really receiving direct communication in that way. And several others, you see, many of your inventors, you see, many of your symphony movements, you see, things like this are coming from these higher dimensional planes of existence, you see. And you can call them extraterrestrial beings if you're thinking about it through an individual fractal in consciousness as being the main influencer in that particular expression. So that is the interesting part. So now we have an individualized fractal named DiYeena, who is what you would consider in this particular frequency connected into the Pleiadian frequency timeline. You see, this is not the only one that she exists in. You see, many, many more, obviously. Same with everyone, you see. But bringing in the particular frequency of Pleiadians, because this is the frequency that is most helpful for humanity, for planet Earth at this particular timeline, at this particular junction in history. So it is all about movement and frequency and what we agree on collectively and individually to experience, to really to experience the whole, you see. So to move in consciousness and to evolve, you see. And so it really is a play like that. And so what you can say about it is that the answer is definitely yes, you see. And it comes in a variety of ways, depending on the leader, depending on their own availability for that kind of thing, you see, their own openness, you see. And so it can happen a lot of different ways in the dream world, you see, in visions, you see, in conversations, you see, the same way that we talk about, and we had a whole episode on connecting in with your guides, you see, it is kind of the same way, you see, the way that you are able to receive information, whether it is in just little hunches or knowingness, you see, sometimes these little intuitive hits are all that are necessary for these leaders to make a decision that is very important, you see. And so if they're not available for sitting around in the round circle, you see, having a conversation with all of the extraterrestrial beings, does not always look like that. You see, okay, we're going to take your president and we're just going to sit around and have a cup of tea and we're going to bring in the whole Galactic Federation and we're going to do. Now, we're not saying that has or not has happened, you see, but we're just giving an example. Not everyone is going to be available for that kind of experience on any dimension, you see. So how to then work with on subtler levels that can still be just as and maybe even more powerful, because their ego is so strong that they want to think that they're the ones to do it, you see. So if we just do it in a subtler way where it seems like that was their idea, sometimes that's even better, you see. Are you seeing how we're working with this?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sometimes it's subtle, sometimes maybe it's not so subtle, and maybe everywhere in between as well, right? All of the little nudges. And I like how you just said, you know, they not necessarily are sitting around this round table with the Galactic Federation, and maybe they have been, maybe they haven't been. And I'm feeling like in some aspects that probably has happened, and that's not always how it looks every single time. And it also feels like, there's different layers to that as well. I'm sure that depending on where they are in their own consciousness level, and probably where they are on how high up on a security level they are, some of them have access to that and some of them do not. And then that's when it's more of the actual subtle levels and layers within that. But I think that answers perfectly. And it also tunes into that we're all receiving these messages, whether we're conscious to them or not. There's this subtlety of information that's flowing through us, to us, within us, from us. And it's this beautiful circuitry that's happening all of the time. And it's really, it's tuning into that. It's seeing the subtleties and bringing deeper awareness into what we're receiving. And so we can look at that even, internally for ourselves in our own day-to-day life as well.
Yes, my dear. And we'll just bring in one more little piece to this, because what has happened, it's at some points for some leaders, for example, is the higher dimensional beings can choose, because we are aware of how this, it's not that we can move through the world a little bit, in consciousness and in physicality, just like you would have like Jesus, who has able to work with his light body to appear in certain ways. We can work with this in this particular way. So you have certain dimensional beings that will appear to bring enough of their light form into the density so that it appears as though we are in the third dimension having this experience, you see. When in reality, it's happening on a higher level of frequency. But in order for it to actually sink in, so to speak, there has to be a little bit more of a a little bit more of an anchor point, you see. And so a lot of times for these leaders, these are experiences that are happening on higher dimensional frequencies of awareness, of consciousness, you see. And every now and again, we will pull in more dimensionality in order to kind of anchor in the experience, so that there can be, even if it is just in the feeling of it for this particular leader, that something is happening or has happened, a conversation. And it could just be they had a conversation in the seventh dimension, for example. Maybe they did have a roundtable experience, you see, and perhaps there was enough of an anchor point in the third dimension to where they have a memory of it, or they have an experience of it, or they simply have an answer to a question that they were having about which direction to go, you see. Something like this. It doesn't always translate in the like we said, the beam me up, Scotty, or the physicality of it all, where there's just a bunch of, like, again, because if it's a benevolent being, we're not here to frighten or scare, you see. That is really the important part, you see, in all of this, because it is the frequency that matters the most. It is the frequency that matters the most.
Wow, so powerful. So powerful. This has been just incredible information and insight that's come through, and a deeper understanding of like who and what are extraterrestrials or UFOs or higher dimensional beings, however we want to put it and say it. And how you're really here to serve humanity in all of the ways, even the darker aspects of these beings, how it's really here to actually serve the light, if we can see it in that way, to awaken us to our truth and to ignite maybe that fire within us, right? Even the places where we can feel a little angry, it's like we can utilize that energy to really serve in whatever way that we're really being called to serve, and our ability to tap into something so much more outside of self, and how we're all going through this collective awakening. And sometimes it takes a disturbance, a disruptance. Like, in order for us to continue to evolve, we have to have, whether it's subtle or these little mini aspects of our reality, of the illusion of what the construct of our three-dimensional reality has been, it's part of that needs to continue. Those illusions are going to continue to be shattered in whatever ways. And so having what it looks like open contact all over the news, all over social media, it's here to shake us up to our core of what is reality and what is the truth here. And can we expand beyond what we've believed to have been true this whole time? And can we expand to what is really here, and what is the infinite possibilities in our multidimensionality, and understand that this is all here to awaken us to our truth. And so I'm curious, DiYeena, if there's any last things, because I'm just looking through and I just feel like you just hit the nail on the head with all of these questions. And I feel like this has been so potent and so powerful. So I'm curious, before we go ahead and close up, if there's any last message or anything that you want to share with everyone.
Yes, my dear. So well said. And we will just end with a little bit of a blessing here for everyone. You see that you are able to really take your external reality and anchor it in your heart through the frequency of love, recognizing that you are the creator of your reality, that you are the creator of your experience, and that you do get to choose in this world, you see, what you are engaging with and how you are engaging with it, and what frequency you are choosing to create from. So we all bless you that you choose to create it through the highest lens possible, through the highest frequency of love and joy and laughter and play, and that you get to experience the effervescence that is available in this reality, and that you choose to have the experience that you would like to have, you see, that you would like to have, that is uplifting humanity, that is uplifting your soul and all the souls with it, and that you are all blessed to really shine your soul song, to sing it loud and clear, and that you are all using these moments in time as a opportunity for the remembrance of love. Blessings from the Pleiadians. We love you all very dearly. We will see you all again very, very soon. Blessings.
Beautiful. Welcome back, Ava. Oh my goodness. That was such a potent and such a powerful episode. Thank you all for being here with us and expanding consciousness together. And, DiYeena dove into some really powerful ways that we can tune in and tap into our own galactic family of light. And if you want to continue that journey, You can always check out our online membership that Ava and I have, where DiYeena comes in and channels, and we have these teaching and tools within that membership. It's such a beautiful community space. If you're in your life and you're like, I want to have more of these discussions and more of these conversations with a really safe, incredible community, then come check that out. We'll have that down in the show notes. And is there anything else that you want to share, Ava, before we go ahead and close up today?
Yes, I trust that this message was exactly what you needed to hear today. And I'm so grateful for all of you being here in this container. And may you all be blessed with the frequency of love.
Amazing. And if this video resonated with you, please like the video, subscribe so we can continue to rise together in this ascension journey.
We'll see you next week's episode.
Bye, everyone.